from each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are, from memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight, reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And we are back today with the 65th Disney feature-length film from July 1st, 1963. It is a film called Savage Sam.
Yep.
Savage Sam is a sequel to the 1957 film Old Yeller.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that Old Yeller had a sequel before we started this deep dive?
No.
So Savage Sam is a sequel to Old Yeller. It is based on the novel of the same name, and it garnered much less success than Old Yeller did.
Yeah. I did not know it was a sequel, but it kind of made me sad that it wasn't the puppy from Old Yeller.
That would make total sense.
I was so confused. I was like, how's this going to be a sequel? I mean, it's the same people.
It's not even all the same people.
It's the same sons.
Yep. So the duo of Corcoran and
not even the same pup. So it's like, okay.
The duo of Corcoran and Kirk return. Brian Keith is the uncle in this film. He is the dad from The Parent Trap and a couple other films that we've watched. Mm-hmm. And Jeff York, who is...
Wasn't he in Moon Pilot?
Who?
The dad from The Parent Trap.
Yes.
That's the uncle
in
this one.
And then Jeff York, who was Mike Fink in a few of our David Crockett films, is in this. Would you like to start us off with a synopsis and some opening thoughts?
Yes. Travis, Arliss, and Lisbeth are captured by Apaches during their dog while their dog Sam tracks their trail.
Yep.
That's literally all it gave us.
I mean, that's what we got going on. Any opening thoughts, or you want to just dive right into it?
Where is Old Yeller's pup?
Yeah.
Where's the pup? I want to know.
I honestly don't think that this was actually meant to be a sequel, because like it's based on a different book, and I feel that they're just like, well, we can capitalize on this because there was only one line in this entire film that ties it into being a sequel. There's only one line. The rest of it's a completely different story.
Is that when he was asking and he said, "Oh, don't say nothing about Old Yeller"?
No, we'll get there on that, yeah. But
so what was the line that tied it in?
Just something about that. Old Yeller. Yeah, I have it written in my notes, but
yeah, I was just like, well, where's Old Yeller's pup? Because it's obviously looked more like our dog than Old Yeller.
Yeah, but either way, I think it was just a different story that they decided to try to make the success for.
Do you think it was a book sequel?
I don't know. I mean, it was a book written. I forgot what I said.
I know it was based off a book, but was the book supposed to be a sequel to the first book?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you want to look it up while I'm talking, you can do that. But
that's okay.
All right, so we're gonna dive right in. We see the family farm, and there's a dog in the opening credits, and there's a song about Savage Sam, and the kind of like in the vein of the Old Yeller song from all those years ago. We see Sam the dog and Travis, who is played by an older Tommy Kirk, and we also see that Sam is jumping up trying to catch like the hanging meat, which is what they yelled at Old Yeller for in the old film, but he is successful on getting it to fall. Getting it to prey, basically. Like he's hanging from the meat and it falls and he gets his food. Arliss, who is our friend Kevin Corcoran, Moochie, he comes out and he titles the dog Savage Sam because he is eating the family's food. And then he has to run off into the fields to scare off the horse. Jumper, I think the horse's name is.
Yeah, I think the horse was actually more of a donkey.
Okay, the donkey, whatever. So I'm going to refer to him as a horse a bunch in this film, but whatever. So he basically, Jumper has gotten into the corn. So he like, gets him out of the cornfield. And then we learn that the two boys, their parents, their mama and papa, are in San Antone. So the two boys are taking care of themselves, because why would they want to pay Fess Parker to be back in this? So they're taking care of themselves. So
sorry,
I mean,
spoiler alert. If you were waiting for Fess Parker to
his
show
time in Disney has been fully replaced by Tommy Kirk.
you're going to be sadly disappointed
he's
with
been
this one.
he's been fully replaced by Tommy Kirk. But we learned that they're taking care of himself. Travis is in charge, and they're having bacon and mush for breakfast again.
Yeah, he was actually slicing the bacon.
And so he sends Arliss out to go milk the cow, and they're just arguing from the beginning. All the cats
because Arliss doesn't like to be told what to do.
Exactly, he's a younger brother. He goes out and milks the cow, but all the cats are trying to get the milk, so they're like jumping in the bucket. He's like shooting the udders at the cats to drink.
Then at one point, it's like a baby calf looks over, like, "Hey, you're wasting all my food."
Yeah.
And then the mother that he is milking swipes him in the head with her tail. And that's when another cat jumps in the bucket. I was just like, God, could you imagine?
Nope. So Savage Sam ends up scaring the cow and all the animals, and which causes an argument between the two boys. So Arliss, out of like rebellion, he just dumps the milk out in protest,
and then starts rocking him.
Oh yeah. So then Arliss just starts throwing rocks at Travis. He's just throwing all this stuff at him, causing Travis to hide in the outhouse, which I thought was hilarious, because in the outhouse there's just like a newspaper hanging there, like all your typical stories right there. So he takes refuge in the outhouse. Uncle Beck, who is the uncle that we mentioned earlier, he comes riding in to stop the commotion. He playfully gives a gun to Arliss to shoot Travis's brother, but it's just a lesson to try to like show him
you don't really want to hurt your brother.
Yeah, you don't really want to hurt your brother. Then they realize that the bacon is caught on fire, so there's no breakfast for them. So then there's more arguing. But Uncle Beck gives the boys a letter from their parents that says that their grandmother is doing fine, but they're still in San Antone. The boys argue some more, but then Travis uses mimics what Uncle Beck did to get Arliss to listen to him.
Yeah, you gotta outwit him.
Yeah. So they go and they're picking up wood or something, and then Arliss is too preoccupied with the dog Sam, causing him to fall off the horse, and then Sam so then the dog runs off to go trace a bobcat. Arliss runs after them, and on the horse, and Travis is all upset that now his brother's off. So they're gone basically.
Yeah, so Arliss justified running off to help Savage Sam get this bobcat because the bobcat had been raiding their chicken coop. And he's like, it's the same bobcat. So he takes off, and then poor Travis is like, okay, whatever. So he kind of finishes his stuff up, heads back to the house, and then Bud Cersei shows up, of course, because they're cooking food. And
the bike thing, yeah.
Yeah, and he shows up with Lisbeth, and then that's when he warns him. He's like, "Oh, you shouldn't let Arliss be out there on his own right now, because there's word that there's Apaches in the area, and he's just a boy all by himself. So you should really go get him. I'll make sure your beans are okay."
He eats the food because something's never changed.
I would have been like, I'll make sure the beans are okay. You're the adult. You go check it out. But no, that's not what happens. Disney magic.
That's right. So Travis is going to try to find Arliss. Lisbeth wants to go with him, and Bud helps himself to the food. And
not just a taste.
Yeah,
he might have ate the entire pot.
Yeah, he's eating the whole thing because he's like, "Oh, it's so hot." So
you deserve to have your mouth burnt, sir.
Lisbeth goes with
She asked to go with
Yep,
Travis.
Elizabeth, but she does go with Travis to hunt for Arliss and Sam. They find Sam fighting with a bobcat in a cave. The two boys argue in the cave. They end up throwing rocks at each other again. But then they are interrupted by like many horses and what appears to be the Apaches. They get spotted and they try to run, but then they get captured. Savage Sam tries to attack, but then he gets like hit on the head with like a stick or whatever. He gets hit on the head with like a log, getting knocked out.
Yeah. But supposedly this band of Apaches is being led by a Comanche.
Yes.
And I am so confused at how they can tell them apart because they're dressed all very similar.
So,
except maybe different colors of like paint on their face. I was just like, how do you know?
It's all stereotypical. So gunshots rain down, and it's Uncle Beck, but he's too late. They have successfully captured the boys and Lisbeth. The Apaches shoot Uncle Beck's horse, so he can't chase after them. So there's now all these Apaches. They have a bunch of horses, and they have the 3 captures. And Sam the dog is knocked out. And the boys think Sam the dog is dead. All right, you're all caught up.
Well, Arliss thinks he's dead because Travis was already knocked out.
Yes. So they are on their journey. They cross a river. At one point, Arliss tries to fight back, and they pass him back and forth like he's a crowd surfer. They steal Arliss's hat. Arliss thinks that they killed Sam, like you said. Arliss makes up a plan for Lisbeth to like try to trick them to that she wants to be their wife, but they end up not doing that because that's rude.
They think that they already think that they're gonna fight over who gets to be her husband.
Yeah.
So he didn't say like, I need you to pretend to be their wife. Like they were legit probably gonna take her as a wife. Is what Arliss and Travis are thinking.
Yeah, he wants her to like play into it to try to like so that the other two can run for escape.
Her, to be the decoy.
And then the other two will run for escape.
But
and
Travis
then come back
is not having any part of this plan.
Because he likes Lisbeth. And then one of the Apaches like gives them food, but they realize that it's horse meat, so they actually think
they don't realize. Lisbeth makes the comment, this tastes weird. Like I've never had anything like this.
And then Travis says, it's horse meat.
It's probably horse meat.
So then they assume, because they can't see
Arliss.
They can't see Jumper, that they're eating their own horse.
Yeah, Arliss is convinced that they're eating Jumper. And then he throws his meat to the side because he goes, I can't eat Jumper.
This is
and then Travis is like, well, we don't know when we're going to get to eat again, so you might actually want to eat that. And Jumper wouldn't be mad.
Well, this is where it's the only time in the film that they mention Old Yeller, because he's reminiscing about Jumper, and he's like, remember when Old Yeller got attacked by those like hogs or whatever, and they got beaten up really badly, and Jumper had to like pull him back, which is absolutely happened in the last film. But I don't think it was the same horse, but that's okay. So the
horse outlived the dog and the pup.
Wasn't the horse one of the animals they got?
No.
Whatever.
It was
I know it was the cow.
It was a cow.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
The horse never got attacked.
All right, whatever. So then Arliss, he sneaks away. He hits one of the tribesmen. He's beefing with this one tribesman because he stole his hat. He blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's like one of the younger ones.
Yeah, so he goes over and he hits them on the head with like a rock, and then tries to run away, but he gets caught. They trap him. They like take off his shirt and they begin to like turn him into like one of the Apaches. They're like putting the paint on him. They're like cutting him up. But this is where at this point that we cut to and we see Savage Sam, who is very much alive. And he's walking through the night like he's like on like a trail trying to like he's like on the scent trying to find them. And then cut to that night where everybody's sleeping. They're all just passed out on the ground. Lisbeth is able to help Travis get his knife out of his back pocket and cut their hands free while everyone else is asleep. And then they end up uncutting all 3 of them and they end up running away. But then at the exact same time as that, Sam, who must be close, like on the scent, howls, which wakes up the tribe. And I wrote that the darn Twilight bark is what ruined it for him. because if that dog was further away, or
Yeah,
they
it
would have
wouldn't
got
have
out.
made any noise.
Yep, they would have got out. So they then get they again get captured. Or at least they don't know that their dog's alive now. And this is where we see Sam hot on the trail, but the tribe and the captives they flee.
Mhm.
But this is where we see like a cavalry catch up to the tribe,
Mhm.
like a U.S. cavalry. They all flee on horseback, but it's in this chase that Travis falls off the horse and is left behind.
He doesn't fall off the horse. The Apache that was on the horse with him shoves him off the horse.
Whatever.
Because at that point, you're going to go faster with one person on the
Mhm.
horse than two people on the horse, and you don't really need him, I guess. So just toss him off.
So they ditch Travis, which is the worst person to ditch because he's like the responsible one in this film.
Yeah, the smart one.
Yeah. So Travis then tries, and he's all beat up. He doesn't have a shirt on. He's all cut up. He's like, he tries to like chase after them, but he trips and falls. Actually,
Over some legs.
He trips like over a guy, like
over some legs.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're like, what?
So basically, like one of the casualties from the fight is like dead on the ground,
like in a bush.
Yeah, he's like dead on the ground, and he just like trips. Well, actually, they never described this, so it could have either been someone who was sleeping or someone who was dead. Because then he finds a horse. So like that horse was just like chilling there, or was his master sleeping?
He probably got killed, and the horse just kind of stayed because the guy. I'm pretty sure when Travis took the gun, he like poked him to see if he'd move or anything, and he didn't move. So I'm pretty sure he was one of the people that got shot.
All right. So he trips over this dead Apache. He steals his gun,
but does not successfully steal the horse.
Yeah, he tries to steal the horse, but the horse wants nothing to do with him. So then, while Travis, I'm sorry, is like chasing after the horse, he ends up like tripping and falling into a stream, and he just like lays there defeated.
I cannot tell you. I related to that scene so much. And I was like, I feel like that's my daily life.
Yeah.
Like if I could just trip and fall and lay there and be like
in a stream, he's just in water.
Yeah, and accept defeat.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my daily life.
But then, days. Speaking, perfect timing of Faye coming to hang out with us right now.
Savage Faye.
At this exact same time, Savage Sam finds Travis, and the two of them reunite. And they decide that they're going to go after Arliss and Lisbeth. And I have to tell you that nothing is more annoying than me taking notes for this when the two names are Arliss and Lisbeth, when every single thing wants to be autocorrect. Every single time that you write either one of their names over and over again. So they're going to go after Arliss and Lisbeth. Sam is exhausted.
Boyfriend.
I guess.
I'm just kidding.
So Sam runs off. He's very exhausted, and
he was barking. He caught Faye's attention several times.
Mm-hmm. And then at this point, Travis passes out as well because it's like they're just exhausted. And then they are located by a different small group of the cavalry, which is consisted and led by Uncle Beck. I'm sorry. Well, I mixed up Beck and Bud, and then Bud Searcy's there, and just different people from like the town. One person who's like an intellectual. One person who's only there to like.
Yeah, one person. I think it was the intellectual had originally been from Virginia and must have recently moved.
Yep. And then there's one.
Texas.
There's one guy who's only there to get revenge because he deep hatred, whatever. We'll get there. We learn that Sam has the scent, and they
find him.
They have to go find the dog. At this point, Bud's still trying to get everybody else's food and everybody else's tobacco because that's what he does. They are able to find Sam, but he's fighting off some wild animals. What kind of animals were they? Do you know?
I think it was wolves.
All right, whatever. Yeah, so he's fighting off some wolves.
Coyotes, I'm pretty sure, are bigger than what we saw, and I'm pretty sure they don't travel in packs because there was multiples of them.
Yep. So we're fighting off the coyotes.
The Legend of Lobo,
wolves, whatever. Yeah.
Made it into this movie,
which then hurts Sam's paw, but they don't have time to slow down. So Beck ends up grabbing Sam and taking him on the horseback with him. They continue on the trail. There's too many of them for horses, so like one person has to like take time, like take like their time, like walking and running next to the horse.
Well, Travis was like, because they were talking about just leaving Travis there. And then he said, well, the Comanche in that group runs with the horse. I'll just run. And then that's when Uncle Beck was like, do you really think you could do that? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, well, if he can do it, we can do it. So he took the first round of running beside the horse.
So
But they did explain that the Comanche was doing it because he had been shot by Uncle Beck earlier, and I guess the jostling of riding on the horse was more painful, and that it was easier for him to run with the horse than it was to ride on the horse. And I thought that makes no sense at all to me.
So they continue on the trail. The three-legged Sam ends up picking up on the trail, and then they're trying to follow to find the captives. It's at this point that like the two men are arguing over what they're going to do when they find the tribe. One person has some stupid prejudice pride, and like they're arguing over just whatever.
Yeah.
And then at this point we see a bunch of snakes and spiders, which is basically like a sign that says that like the weather's changing and like a heck of a Disney storm is coming.
Yeah.
But
Uncle Beck stopped and talked to the intellectual guy and told him the other person's story and why he had developed this deep hatred.
Yeah, basically like his wife.
He came
and
home
kids,
one time from like a hunting trip or something, and the entire cabin was burned down, and the kids and wife were dead, and one of them had even been scalped or something. Yeah. So he's like, you don't really know why somebody starts to feel some way, but.
So it starts to like storm. It's like a hailstorm. They find safety in a cave. The men argue some more, but then the storm stops. So they all just continue to go together. They're going on their way. Sam finds the trail. But then at this point they do successfully find the tribe. We see that Arliss and Elizabeth are both safe, but they're still captured. They devise a plan for a surprise attack and to catch them in a crossfire. Basically, Uncle Beck is going to sneak down to like stampede their horses so they don't have a way to escape, and then they're going to catch them in a crossfire. And then at this point, this is where we see that the tribesmen are fighting over Elizabeth to see who's going to be able to marry her.
And Uncle Beck says, "Wait, we're going to let them get caught up in this fighting."
Yep. But then at this point, the dude who has the hatred doesn't wait, and he shoots his gun, giving away that they're there. So he blows their cover.
Well, he waited while Uncle Beck was there, but then when Uncle Beck went to go get into position, he did not wait.
So
he just could not wait anymore.
Yeah. So they blow the cover, but Beck is still able to cause some alarm with the horses. There's a lot of gunfire and fighting. Arliss grabs a gun and hits one of the riders like a baseball bat. He just like
because he was about to shoot Uncle Beck, and then he's like, "I got him, Uncle Beck! I got him!"
He just smashes him with a baseball bat,
and then
like a gun.
Yeah, his arch rival, the entire movie, comes up and grabs him.
Which at this point, then Sam comes running in to attack.
Yeah, somehow Sam gets off of where they tied him to, and he gets out of his muzzle. Yeah. And then he's to the rescue because you don't mess with Arliss.
Yep. So then he attacks the one for attacking Arliss. Travis knocks someone off their horse and is able to chase after to save Elizabeth. Bud, the whole film they're like making fun of Bud's like cannon gun and how old it is, but they end up like using this gun that has to go on someone's shoulder.
Tall tales of what this gun has done.
So he ends up, but the old gun is able to shoot and save Elizabeth.
He referred to it as a cannon.
Yep. It's a bigger gun. So he ends up being able to shoot the guy, which allows them to save Elizabeth. So then Elizabeth and Travis ride back together.
But he passes out after he does it.
Yeah. His adrenaline is over.
All of those stories that he's told are probably tall tales.
That's right.
Because
there is a film
he's
in the 90s called Tall Tales.
Tall Tales, was it from him?
No.
Oh, that's terrible.
So Arliss is able to use his rock throwing skills. Sam chases off one of them. Arliss successfully grabs his hat back. Sam comes running.
And then pulls the feathers out of it.
Yep. Sam comes running back. Everyone's united. They run up the horses. They head back to the farm. Then they get back at home. And what do they find? They find Jumper.
In the cornfield, eating the sweet
he's
corn.
all excited. And then they're like, get out of the cornfield. So nothing's changed.
I missed you, but get out of the corn.
He slaps him in the face.
I've never been so glad to see you.
And he slaps him. So the older couple of people are talking about Travis and Lisbeth, and they're going to get married. But then we see Sam, who then again chases after a cat, and Arliss rides after them because some things never change. And then the song starts to play, and it's the end of the film.
Yeah, and this is our prop of the day.
Oh, our pup.
Yeah,
our pup. Our Savage.
She
pup.
looked way more like Savage Sam than Old Yeller.
So, do you have any thoughts or ratings? Or
I liked
some trivia that I missed?
I liked it way better than Old Yeller, so I don't know why it wasn't as accepted as or liked as well.
Yeah, it was not successful.
I mean, but then again, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Old Yeller. Killed the dog, and I mean it's a terrible movie.
How many episodes was that for us?
But if you've made it through these many episodes with us, I'm pretty sure you already knew the outcome. I mean, some of the stereotypical stuff, I mean, obviously it could have been done without, but
yeah, there's so much. I'm so happy we're past that.
But I enjoyed the story overall. I enjoyed the dog's tenacity, and overall I thought it was a good story.
Do you have any?
And the dog didn't die, so I liked it a lot. Is
there any
better.
trivia, or do you have some?
I did not find any trivia.
How about your rating them?
So rating wise, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
IMDb also gave it a 6 out of 10.
So you're a copycat.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't like it good enough for a 7, but I didn't dislike it enough to give it a 5.
If you were a copycat, then Savage Sam would chase after you and cause a whole scene.
No, it's a bobcat.
Yeah. So, does this film, Savage Sam, bust its way into the sweet corn patch of your List Upon a Star?
Savagely, no.
So then what is your List Upon a Star for our listeners?
So my List Upon a Star is 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, Lady and the Tramp, The Three Caballeros, Moon Pilot, The Shaggy Dog, Peter Pan, and Alice in Wonderland.
So mine also is not changing.
Oh, it didn't rough its way onto your list?
No, it
savagely it got left off.
Yeah, you know how unbelievable. I can't even think of a pun. I was trying to think of a pun about Bud Cersei and food and stuff, but whatever.
But it didn't make your list.
But it didn't make my list. So welcome. It did not make my List Upon a Star. My List Upon a Star is still 101 Dalmatians. Speaking of movies about dogs, Peter Pan. Speaking of a movie about savages, Alice in Wonderland. Speaking of a movie about tall tales, Babes in Toyland. Speaking of great films, whatever. Then
Tommy Kirk.
Then that's true. Then Pinocchio. Speaking of a movie about donkeys, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Speaking of movies about coffee mugs, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Speaking of a movie about working in the fields, Sleeping Beauty. Speaking of a movie about getting knocked out, Lady and the Tramp. Speaking of a movie about dogs, and finally, this was Family Robinson. Speaking of a movie about most of the characters that were in this film, were also in that film. So that's my List Upon a Star, and how happy I did that. So, thank you again. We are on Spotify. If you're listening to this, we are on YouTube. If you're watching this, where you can see our pup and our lovely faces, and we are on Instagram, where we try to keep everything up to date with all the releases. Our email is deepdivingthemagicpod@gmail.com. If you knew this was a sequel, let us know.
If you've seen it,
let us know. Yeah. And then, of course, as always, thank you to Mr. Andy Has a Band himself for our theme song. And thank you for Faye for jumping in at the right time on this. Our next episode, we are moving a whopping 1 week after this film to July the 7th of 1963 for our 66 deep dive. It is a film with another all-star ensemble cast, and it is a film called Summer Magic. Look forward to talking about it then.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Thanks.
Bye.